Hello and welcome again to this edition of Phi TV. I'm your host, Brad Swanson. We are coming to you from the Phi TV studios, just a few blocks from Florida's capital. As we know, it's International Women's Day, and it's also International Women's Month. And frankly, if you're in my household, every day is International Women's Day. So we're going to talk a little bit about it. 2020 ushered in one of the strongest Republican houses that we've seen in recent history, and it was the Republican women that made the ballot box just really dramatically change. It's going to really change how the party tackles those issues. At the national level, there are a record number of women serving in Congress. Pew Research shows that women made significant gains. Of the 27 newly elected representatives who are women, 2/3 are Republicans. So the Republicans are really on a roll nationally and in the state of Florida. Here we dominated some of the most competitive races, and they flipped 5 seats of the House seats. 6 of the 8 most competitive races, women won those elections. So we have some of those women on. We have great elected officials. I'm going to run through a quick roster of introductions. We have Representative Fiona McFarland from the Sarasota area, Rep. Dana Trabulsy from Fort Pierce, Rep. Jackie Toledo from Tampa, Representative Amber Mariano from Pasco, and Representative Erin Grall from R-Vero Beach. Ladies, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Brad. It's great to be here.
We're so glad to have you guys on. You know, when we think about International Women's Day, and I think about the amazing women mentors that I have, we're going to start there on mentorship. You know, as folks who have gotten to where you are, you know, we often hear you never get there by yourself. So why don't we start with Erin? We're going to ask you guys all to share with us who was an important female mentor of yours in your life. So Erin, why don't we start with you?
Thanks, Brad. And I mean, this may seem trite, but I'm going to have to go with my mom on this one. I'm one of 8 kids, and my mom just taught me about what fundamental fairness is, because you need to know what fairness is if you're raising 8 children. And just watching her advocate for us in my community, at school, through athletics, through sports and clubs, everything. I mean, she really was my original role model and continues to be, as she is up at the Capitol with us this year, helping us with our family because we have a newborn. And so she continues to be my role model. And I don't think that anyone, you know, and all the strong women around her, my grandmothers and such. So just blessed to have her continued to be in my life.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right, Representative Mariano, we're going to you next.
Yeah, thanks. So when I was first elected, I was lucky that when I was 21 years old. I was very blessed in that there had just recently been a very young woman elected, Jennifer Sullivan, and she was 23 years old. And, you know, she really paved the way, I think, for a lot of us young women that are coming in to office, because she just very quickly got down to business and was very good at what she did and had a very great reputation for being kind and yet very strong. And so she really took me under her wing, and I really wouldn't have survived my first few years up here without her. Unfortunately, now she has left and, you know, started a family, so she is not here with us anymore. But, you know, I really wouldn't have been able to get through the first few years, because being a woman in this process is tough. And it's very tough being a young woman in this process. So mentorship was so important for me.
Oh, wow, that's great, Amber. And Representative Mariano, I mean, you think about being 21 and elected, and, you know, in a process that, you know, definitely has more than its fair share of men and historically men elected, obviously. That's a great story of a peer mentoring you. Thank you for sharing that. Representative Toledo, a mentor for you.
I'm going to have to go with my mom as well. I think that she's always been there for me. She had 3 kids, and as a single mom, she taught me work ethic, and that's what got me through my first election, is working really hard, outworking my opponent, and just, you know, that inspiration that you can achieve anything if you work at it, and to persevere as well. I think as a single mom, she was a single mom, I'm a single mom of 5 children, you know, we have to kind of work together and make sure we have common goals. And I think my mom taught me that. And, you know, obviously we may disagree at times, but we have more in common and more familiar goals than than not. So I think work ethic is probably the most important thing I find in other people. Is if you work hard, other people will see that, and you set an example for them, and you can achieve anything, whether it's filing a bill and passing a law. You can do that, and you can win a raise if you just work hard.
Yeah. Well, that's those lessons that moms teach us all, but that's great. Thank you for sharing that, Representative. All right, now we go to Representative Trabulsy, a mentor that you look up to.
Thank you. So a mentor that I look up to would be my grandmother. She was a polio survivor. She lived through the Depression. She became a single mom at 50, went back to school and got her master's, taught citizenship classes until she retired. And she continually just taught me not to give up and that we can really overcome any obstacle we have. But it's so hard to say that we just have one woman mentor in our lives. They're threaded throughout our lives. I would say most recently, I can look on the screen and see Representative Grall, and she's really held my hand through this whole process and helped me get my feet wet here in the House.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Representative McFarland, how about you? Who's a big mentor?
Thank you, Brad. I'm going to be selfish, and I'm naming 3 this morning. When I was a young girl, my spirit animal was the goddess Athena when we were studying Greek and Roman mythology. And I just loved the way she's the goddess of wisdom, for those of you who have not been in 2nd grade for a long time. And I loved the way that she kept her cool head and won wars and won civilizations over through cool, cunning wisdom, even when the men were following their emotions and upending civilizations. Secondly, Grace Hopper, Admiral Grace Hopper. She was an early female naval officer and a pioneer in her field back when women were in small numbers in active duty. And she's credited as being the mother of the internet. And I think of not only her great technological contribution to society, but what it must have been like being one of the only women serving at the highest ranks of the Navy back then. And then thirdly, it's got to be Mom. My mom has been a great example to me of someone who started in college as her college job in the typing pool in the White House. No one knows what that is anymore, but she was a typist and worked her way up to be a deputy national security advisor through hard work and grit. And, it certainly wasn't always easy. She took a step out to raise the 5 of us kids. And then after 9/11 hit our hometown of New York, she returned to public service. And what she taught us all growing up is that serving your country is an honorable thing to do. We all have gifts to give, and whether you're serving your family, serving your community, or serving your country, service is an honorable thing to do. And it is irrespective of gender, background, or what you look like. And that's what's called me to serve again after I was in the Navy myself and now re-entering public office.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your service, and thank you for your mom's service, and what a great triumvirate of mentors. That's great. Fiona, we're going to stay with you. The next question is when we think of being in an elected office, you automatically are communicating values, your values, to the next generation. When you think about what being an elected official as a woman on International Women's Day, and every day, frankly, what do you hope to communicate to younger women through your office?
I hope to communicate that anyone can serve. I think the women that are on this panel this morning are a great example of that. Irrespective of age, what industry you work in, if you have a family, married, unmarried, it doesn't matter. All of us have a gift to give, and if we can share it with those around us through service and however that manifests for you, that's what I hope that I and all of my fellow representatives are embodying for people who watch us from the outside.
Yeah, that's great. All right, Representative Trabulsy, talk to us about what you hope to communicate to that next generation of upcoming women.
I'm so excited to have a young woman that works for me. She's 23, and I see just so much hope in our future, and I'm so proud of that. And I hope to continue to just promote a good sense of self, stay grounded in who you are, follow your dreams, know that it doesn't matter. We can see on this panel here with Representative Mariano that she is the youngest to serve. And so it doesn't matter how young or how old you are, follow your dreams and face forward always.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. All right, Representative Toledo, tell us about what message you want to send to that next generation of women.
I would say to light someone else's candles. Instead of putting out their candles, a room becomes brighter when you light someone else's candle, lift each other up. You know, there's room for all of us. We don't have to compete for the same position. We can grow. Look what we're doing right now in the Florida House. So I think there's going to be room for all of us. So we just really need to support each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Representative Mariano, talk to us about what message you're sending to the next generation, although you're likely very much their peer, but you are definitely sending that message to them nonetheless.
Yeah, it would just be to run for office. And, you mentioned those numbers in Congress, the amount of Republican women that got elected this past cycle. And that's because we had Elise Stefanik in the House, Congresswoman from New York, who made it her mission to help get women elected and help get them elected in primaries. And so it's that dedication to trying to get more women in office that's going to get the outcomes. And these numbers are going to keep getting better and better and better if we just keep working on it. So it's very important that we encourage our young women to run for office.
Thanks, Representative. Erin, before we go to break, close this out. What do you want to communicate to that next generation?
Well, to follow up on what Representative Mariano said, I think it's about raising your hand. And I would tell other women, raise your hand and volunteer. And historically, women need to be asked to run for office versus raising their hand and saying, I have something of value to offer. And so I would say to women out there, your perspective matters. There is a seat at the table for you if you work hard, and raise your hand and say, I would like to do this. Don't wait for somebody to come to you. And I mean, that's a great way to come into office, but you don't need to wait. There's a way to come here on your own and to believe in yourself, and just believe in yourself and hold yourself up. And I think that that's the message that we need to get across to women, and not only in politics, but in really every arena.
Yeah. Wow. What great answers. I can't wait for my daughters to watch this show and to listen to y'all. It's inspirational. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.